past 5 years, being in the online coaching space, being the mentee, being the mentor, and the operator, I've seen way too many great coaches and consultants go out of business simply because they don't understand this one simple business concept that'll make sure and guarantee that they have enough margins so they can actually hire A-level talent, focus on getting better results, and when there's bad marketing months, and there's going to be bad marketing months where you overspend on marketing, have enough capital to cover the next few months when you're trying to regain and recoup the money loss. This is one thing that'll save your business, and so you can actually scale peacefully and predictably. If you're new to this channel, my name is Elijah. Nice to meet you. The past 5 years, I've been fortunate enough to train over 300 sales reps, partnered and manage multiple 7-8 figure run rate coaching consulting businesses. So in today's video, I want to share to you one concept that I see time and time again coaches make a mistake on. And personally, I have made that mistake. I have made a mistake on my own coaching consulting business to make sure you have enough runway when there's bad marketing months to have enough runway to recover. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. The big idea for this video is profit margins, how to increase your LTV and back-end upsells. Then we'll go through downsells. How can you actually execute this and apply to your business? This is what I've used to actually acquire that ClickFunnels plaque for generating over $1 million. Actually did that within 60 days. And that other WAP plaque right there in the back. I'm going to share to you guys this simple concept to make sure that you guys can increase your LTV, your AOV, because those two numbers is going to make sure that you can actually have good profit margins for your business, right? Industry average, if you're scaling aggressively, you're going to be looking at 30 to 40% if you have paid acquisition. So this is a good benchmark to look at when you're scaling offers, right? So like, let's say you're at 100K per month right now, right? And maybe you're purely organic. So your margins at this point would be probably looking at 60 to 70%, pure organic, pretty lean team. Maybe you're taking your own sales calls right now. That's normal. Typically, when you scale, it's not going to be linear. You're going to have some months where your profit margin is going to be smaller, but let's say the goal is to get to 500K per month, right? That's the gap that we're trying to bridge. Industry average, this is benchmarks. So benchmarks, we'll talk about benchmarks. 500K per month on the industry average. If you have, we're talking about paid plus organic, you're going to look at 30 to 40% profit margins typically. But if you just pure paid, what I've seen is, to be honest, anywhere between 15 to 30%. Just depends on your team structure, comp structure, your ROAS on the front end marketing and all that stuff. But I'll see the main bottleneck that I'll always see people have is LTV, right? So typically high ticket, it's going to be priced anywhere between 5 to 7K, right? Sometimes I even see offers just doing 2 to 5K range, right? If you're still doing 2 to 5K, you're on your way to going out of business. I'll tell you here in a second why. I'll give you guys some scenarios, and you need to understand this concept because it's extremely important when you're scaling an offer, especially if you're plateauing at 100K per month. You could say this is the purgatory. We'll call it the 100K month purgatory. Typically, this is the symptoms, right? You'll have good months and then you'll dip. Maybe you went from a 4 or 5x ROAS and then the following month you go to really 2x ROAS. This is what typically happens on 100K month. Top of that, your margins is getting slimmer, percentage is getting slimmer, and you don't know what to do. You think more leads is gonna equal to more sales. And again, this is time and time again is what I see people at 100, 150K per month or even 50K per month make a mistake on. Because if you already have 100K per month, here's the green flag on that, right? You already have product market fit, which is actually one of the most difficult thing to have. You have some type of authority and results at this point, and you at least have some fulfillment dialed in already. So you've done the hard work already at this point. Now it's just like, okay, how do you go from you're being involved on the sales calls, maybe too much involved in the fulfillment, and actually run an actual business? Because let's face the reality here. Right now, you're just a glorified self-employed consultant. How do you go from a self-employed consultant to an actual CEO, driving the business forward, being the visionaire, all that good stuff? We can get there if we don't fix our margins initially, right? You need to understand this. So I'll give you guys a concept on lifetime value. So make sure we're in the same page here. Lifetime value is just how much do you actually make in terms of cash collected revenue wise per client or per customer that you have, right? One of the most simple thing that you can learn in business is making sure that your LTV is good, margins is good, right? Because this will base how much money you can spend on front end to acquire more customers. So on a regular high ticket, or the gurus or the industry leaders now, or what I've learned is, well, what they'll tell you is, you set up a paid acquisition funnel. Paid acquisition, once you get that done, you book them on a sales call, then you sell them on a high ticket, typically anywhere between, again, 2K all the way to 7K, depending on where you're at right now on your business. That's what's going to happen. And after that, you do your fulfillment. That's it. That's the end. So your LTV or your AOV becomes, typically, I've seen people give lifetime access, and that's one of the biggest red flag that you need to come across with is you don't give lifetime access to an ongoing service, especially when you have weekly coaching calls, one-on-ones access to it. There needs to be some type of ascension within the offer itself, because you're not doing your clients a service. You're doing them a disservice, because if you don't have enough margins to operate, then you can hire A-level talent to give them world-class service and result to scale when you're getting more clients on your community, your service, essentially. So what you need to do, instead of doing this basic funnel of like paid acquisition, you go to sales call, get 2 to 7K, and then fulfillment, you need to find a way to go from going from 7K and to realistically to scale and to have a good runway. You need to figure out to get this LTV to as much as you can, but realistically all the way to 15K to 20K. That's the big goal. So how do we get there? This is what happens. Let's say you're priced at 5K right now, right? Your high ticket's priced 5K. Let's say sales team cost you 15% setter and closer, right? SDR closer. Then you're at 15% on that. Then that's 750, right? Let's say you use a financing option because, their credit score was good, but capital is not good. Let's say you split it, for example, as a financing option, then that's 15%, all right? So financing or processing fee is 750 as well, because it's 15% for setters and closers. And then if you're smart enough, you have a back-end sub coach to do fulfillment, and maybe they're doing ongoing 24/7, support. That's coaching. So fulfillment, we'll do fulfillment, let's say it's $250, right, for the next 60, 90 days, whatever it is. Now, cost per acquisition, right? So let's say your cost per acquisition is anywhere between 1,200 to 1,500. That's where I see CAC is, right? Let's say you're doing paid acquisition to acquire this sale. So let's just go worst case scenario, because we want to make sure that we're prepared for the worst case. And this is what, again, coaches and consultants always miss out on, and they don't understand this type of margins. They think sales team and then subtract that and that's it, right? So I'm going to do this. So you have 750 for sales team. Processing fee for the financing option, split it 15%, 750. Fulfillment's 250 if you have a coach, and then CAC is 1,500. Right. So now that's 3,250 divided by 5K. So 1,750 is the remaining. So that means you have 1,750 profit from this entire deal. So you have a 35% margin on this, 35% margin all in, right? And not even considering if you have an operator on like doing marketing and sales management to scale this. So you don't even have margin to actually go get a sales manager or a marketing director for your company, just because that's 35%. You're still going to be doing the fulfillment. You still need to be hands-on with that specific client, and it's going to be a bit more harder to get it to the point where you're almost hands-off and maybe your commitment is only group coaching calls or occasional one-on-one 10-15 minute call. So that's the biggest problem why I'm saying you're on your way to go out of business when your price point is 5K. Now, let me show you this concept. If you're at 7K, and again, if this is valuable for you, let me know in the comment section below. Stay with me because this is a very, very important concept that I wanted to share to you. So now let's say you have the price at 7K, right? So 7K. Now, same exact thing, right? So like, let's say 750, then your fulfillment's 250, and CAC is 1500. So you're 3,250 on expenses. But since you have the price now at 2K, that's not bad. It's 46% now, right? So you have 46% margin on this, 46.4% to be exact. So your margin now here is 46.4%. So it's minor, but it's important because again, that's an extra 1,500, and that means there's an extra 1,500 you can play around with or business to stay afloat. And obviously, if we're looking at this in a macro perspective, that's a massive. So for example, you go from having a 35K to now 46K and 100K piece, right? You have more operational freedom and runway when you're able to increase your prices this way. I wanted to heavily emphasize this because it's important for you to increase your prices. And a lot of you are afraid to increase your prices simply because you feel like you are either rightly priced or you feel like your clients isn't going to reciprocate well, or your target audience. But here's the thing, then that means your service isn't as valuable as you think it is if you can't price it at 7K. But here's the caveat, if you're not pricing it at 7K though, then that means you can't scale. You simply cannot scale. It's either a conviction issue, right, or a sales rep closing issue. But these are the things that you need to make sure you solve. Now, here's the aikido part here. Like, let's say front end is 46.4% margin, but let's put a spin on it, because a lot of the times this is going to be a lifetime access. A lot of coaches will put this, lifetime access. But what I like doing is this anywhere between 3 to 6 months, depending on the type of niche you're in, right? It could be health and fitness, real estate, skill transfer type of biz op, right? Or it could be, investment in the stocks. Whatever it is, you can accurately timeline it on when is your, like for example, your past 5 to 10 clients that has gotten result, how did it take them? Because you're not operating off of some BS of like, 3 months, that's it. If it generally takes your system to get results for 4 months, then time your program 4 months. So now let's say it's 7K and it's 4 months. You get 4-month access, right? And there's a bunch of other ways that you can even position this, especially when you're gaining if you're doing a relaunch or a new program. There's a way you could do, plus 2 months free if you get in now, a bunch of other stuff that we can talk about in terms of like offer positioning. But that's another topic because we're talking about margins here, increasing your LTV. The goal here is increase LTV, back and upsells to increase margins, and also increasing prices, and again, execution application. Now, here is the application part that we're talking about, right? Now, let's say this is a time program. It's 4 months. And what you do next is you got to figure out the number now of how many people can actually get renewals or rebills from this. And that's why it's so important to invest in your fulfillment so you can actually confidently rebuild them. It makes it feel more valuable when you actually build your fulfillment system, right? You attach a software within it, especially with AI now. You can speed it up, remove a common bottleneck a beginner has or an investor has, give them more value. Now, let's say it's not 7K, but a renewal for an extra 6 months is, or a full year is 5K a full year, right? Then now your LTV now is at 12K. So like, let's say even though maybe the 4-month mark you sign, at 100K, AOV right now is 5K. You have 20 signups. Then in 4 months time, even if it's just 10% of that rebuilds, that's 2 people, that's an extra 10 grand that's going to be coming within 4 months. This compounds, right? So 20 people, and it becomes 40 people, and it becomes 80 people. And even if you just use the law of averages of 10%, 8 people at 5K, as again, it's gonna start compounding. And if you increase your AUV, it starts getting to the point where like, okay, you have more cash and capital, you just inject it in your business out of thin air. Now we've gotten that covered. This is like how you increase your LTV, how you increase your AUV is by simply increasing your price, attaching something on fulfillment. This could be another video as well, to be honest. But some of the things that I've done or have seen work, specifically the offer that I actually managing that's done 800K months, is as simple as like attaching a software within this service. It's so easy, but not a lot of people do it. That software either speeds up the results to the dream outcome, or it cuts down the time of getting to the dream outcome. That's it. Like, it's as simple as that, right? For example, if you're, a fitness coach, then maybe a software, an accountability partner, or a custom plan and, app that you can attach within it. Stuff like that. It makes your life easier. It's more value for your clients, and it helps you increase your LTV, more runway for you, more happy clients, and happier you and happier life. That's literally it, right? So these are the things, and I know it might sound technical, but I promise you it's not as complicated as it sounds. Rewatch this video a couple more times if it's complicated for you right now. Now let me show you an aikido, right? So let's talk about downsells, because there's a lot of money being left on the table by coaches, consultants. Honestly, this could be its own video, but I just want to provide as much value to you guys on this video. Downsells, let's talk about that, because again, my ultimate goal for your big idea here is to increase your profit margins as a company and help you make more money so you can operate for many years. And eventually, my intention here is, if you find more value into this video, partner up with you, become your own sales management partner or a full done free service for your offer, right? That's my main intention why I'm making these free videos, is to show to you what I actually do, what I look at, because there are specific metrics you need to look at on your sales metrics to make sure that this is airtight and it's actually being notified to your sales team or to the C-suite level, the offer owner itself, to implement these type of systems essentially. And so let's talk about downsells. Like, this is literally as simple as like your course modules. You have tons of DQs, right? So let's say you spend your cost per lead. Let's say your cost per lead is $20. Let's just say that's a pretty expensive cost per lead, to be honest. But let's just say your cold traffic, extreme cold traffic, is $20, right? Let's say you spent 50 grand that month on ads. You have 2,500 leads that month. And let's say your MLQ score, marketing MQL score, marketing qualified lead, is 20%. So 20% of 2,500 is 500, right? There's 500 qualified leads, meaning that that's bookable in that specific offer, right? Like, this is a hypothetical offer. 500, let's say your pickup rate's 10%. If your speed to lead is good, it could be 15 to 20%. Let's just say it's 10%, right? So you've spoken with 50 people. Let's say you have a really SDR team and you're at 30% conversion booking rate, right? So you have 15 sales calls that you're able to book on that marketing qualified lead, and your AOV, for example, is, again, let's say 7K now because you have implemented the goal, right? So now you're 100.5K, you're at 2x ROAS for this offer. And very conservative hypotheticals, right? Now, what happens to those DQ leads that you spoke with, and what happened to those leads that weren't necessarily qualified? They are just being left in your pipeline. Now, let's say you introduce a 1K price point or even a 500 price point, very attainable for everyone, and you have a financing option. For example, you have, let's say, Clarity Pay or Klarna to do financing option. What happens then to those people, right? Again, law of averages. 2,500 leads, let's say your pickup rate on that 2,500 leads was 10%. That's 250 people. Again, 20% of that was the one that we were able to, like, that's technically qualified. It's 50 people only. But now, let's say the 80% on that, right? Then your close rate, or your setters get really good at this, or you have a dedicated setter. I'll tell you guys different structures you could do for this. Converts, I'm going to do very conservative again. 10% of that 200 leads that you were able to have a conversation with, but just DQs. 20 people, and let's do a median of 750 on 1 to, let's just say from 500 to 1K. There's an extra 15K you just printed out in thin air by just simply having a downsell low ticket. Now, what can your low ticket downsell entail? It's literally just the course modules itself, but no community and nothing specifically like fancy, or it could be the roadmap itself. You could just sell that by its own, right? Then what you could do for this people that purchase or converts here, you can nurture them and create like its own like mini community. And what you could do is nurture them here. It's up to you if you want to invest one call a week here, but mini community allow them to just, it's like a reflection of your big community. Allow them to get nurtured there, get results, and then within 60 days timeline, you tap in with them. And again, law of average, 10 to 20%. Some of these will convert to your high ticket. Just tell them you're gonna credit the 1k, 500 to 1k to your high ticket. It's as simple as that. These are like the small minute details that people are too lazy to do, but if you just implement this, it stacks up, right? That's 15k here. This is probably another, 25k, 50k. So even though, like, let's say your main flagship offer is only doing 100k, that's 100k, 15k, 50k. It stacks up. You're now at 175. Then this renewals every 4 months, you get an extra, again, 15 to 30k. You're 200. Now your margins is looking a bit more healthier. Again, these are quote unquote, you could say like unleveraged or like unscalable projects that you could implement now, but you feel like it's too small of a project and you're trying to pull a higher lever. But these are the things that will make sure and guarantee that you get to those 500,000 months. Because once you have these systems in place, then what happens is when you're funneling more leads on the front line or the top of funnel, then you have other conversion mechanism that allows you to generate more cash within the business, right? I hope you're following in this, but this is what I've done to get, again, that plaque right there and that plaque, that's what I've done. Right. And this is not just like some hypothetical things I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you this because this is what I've done to get that offer to 800k months. So if you want to implement it, this is free money. I encourage you to implement it. I'm literally giving this to you for free. I know it's not straightforward. I know it's not easy, but this is how you win in the coaching consulting space. Moving forward, you cannot get left behind. You need to make sure you start taking advantage of this because you're going to get eaten up alive, especially in this fast-paced industry. Very, very important, right? Now, we've covered how to increase your margins. We've covered the execution and application in this, the back-end upsells, the downsells. All you simply need to do now is start asking yourself, what do you need to do to get this implemented to your coaching consulting business? I hope this is valuable. If you're interested for me to personally audit your own business, for me to look at the numbers itself, the booking rate, the close rate, the set to close rate, your specific cash per call, to literally look at your business in an eagle eye perspective, go hit me up on Instagram. Let's connect. I am probably not taking any clients, or if I'm taking any clients, then we can discuss what will be the next step, what it would look like. But yeah, this is honestly what I do on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis. This is what I do for my clients that I'm working with, and I'm very selective. 80% of people that might be interested to work with me might not be a good fit, just for the fact that it takes time for me to go through your numbers, your metrics. Does it make sense? Do you have even margins? All that stuff, right? But if you're interested, let's chat. I'm more than happy to hop on a call with you, even give you like a 15-30 minute rundown to kind of just see where you're at, look at your numbers. If you don't have your numbers, if you don't have any dashboards, then that's probably one of your main problems, as well as anything that you cannot track, you cannot scale, you cannot grow. So make sure you at least have the top line, right? The cash collected, the revenue generated, the close rate, the show rate, book calls, all of those numbers at least tracked, active pipeline, pending deals, all of those things, right? Make sure you have those set up, please, for the love of God. Because you're leaving money on the table. I see these guys so focused on marketing, personal brands, and they don't have their conversion set up, and they're literally leaving money on the table. But that's it. It's simple. It's not easy. It's simple. If you're able to execute on these concepts, I know it's not really one simple principle concept, but if you're able to execute on these, I guarantee you it should increase your revenue, or your bottom line revenue, to an extra 30 to 40% within the next 60 to 90 days. Please implement it. Don't leave money on the table, because if you keep leaving money on the table, you cannot scale, you cannot hire A-level talent, you cannot have a fulfilled life. If you don't have a fulfilled life, you're not going to be motivated to get clients. If you're not motivated to get clients, your existing clients are not going to be happy because you're stressed out about keeping the business afloat. I hope this is valuable. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section below. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.